Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Aviana. This is Aviana's Ascension. And today we're doing something different. We are going to do a pick a card reading. I haven't done one of these in years, honestly. I cannot recall the last time I did. I think I've done maybe one before, but it's been years. So we are doing a shadow pick a card reading. This is basically you're going to choose group 1, 2, or 3. This is your blue crystal, lapis lazuli. We have purple with amethyst, green with green jasper. So maybe you feel guided to the cards, the crystals, the colors, whatever. Whichever one you feel guided to go towards, and take this time right now to listen to your intuition and pick your card, your group. And with each group, we're going to read about the shadow, and we have this Wisdom of the Shadow book that goes with the cards. Very beautiful. And so we'll get a deep dive on what this energy is about. And then there are contemplations that go with each card. So I pulled tarot to go with those contemplations. And then we also have some self care oracle cards to go with this as well. So that way you know what self care practices you can dive into to help you with this aspect of yourself. So, everyone, we're just going to take a deep breath in and a big breath out. And just allow yourself to see what number, what crystal, what cards are right for you. And just take your time feeling it out. And down in the comments below, I do have the timestamp for each group. So whenever you have the one that's right for you, let's get into it. So group number 1, if you chose number 1 or the blue crystal, lapis lazuli, this one's going to be for you. So let's get into it. Okay, so your shadow aspect that needs your attention right now is your voice. Okay. So we're going to read out of the book what this is talking about exactly, and then we'll get into it. Okay? And all of the cards in this deck are done by an artist. So if you actually want this art, which it might be beneficial for you since it's your shadow aspect, this is the art Scream. And it says, "My voice is important. I speak my truth. I use my voice. I speak what needs to be spoken." And then here, I'll let you guys kind of read along with me. Actually, I won't because I can't read it then. And then some words that go along with this, some phrases: screaming, yelling, speaking, expressing, making it heard, shouting and spewing, loud and silent, releasing, saying yes, its unique sound, needed, necessary, vital, true, words and energy, feeling and thought, wisdom, and remembering. Many of us have been told at some point to be quiet, shut up, don't make waves, or that our voice was weird, too much, didn't matter, or wasn't unique enough. Maybe we haven't felt heard or validated or have had repercussions for speaking up. Perhaps we felt the beauty of speaking up, feeling heard, and how it supports others when we share our truth. Whatever our story is around expression in our voice, we likely have one that shapes how we speak and share. Our expression through our voice is vital. If we aren't expressing ourselves, speaking our truth, or sharing our voice, then it is likely we aren't living in our fullest alignment or our highest potential. We must be willing to share our voice as if it's vital to our lives, because it is. There are billions of people on this planet. We need every single one of our unique voices. Even if others are saying the same thing, no one says it like you. Become aware of any ways that you have stifled your own voice or made it small. Become aware of any ways you have felt out of alignment in the ways you use your voice. Consider more ways to use your voice, express, speak, and be heard. Absolutely. Okay, so group number 1. You may be struggling to speak your truth. And what's funny, I didn't even do this intentionally, but lapis lazuli is a crystal for your throat chakra, which has obviously a lot to do with your voice, expressing yourself in your truth. And this crystal can help you, foster more of a healthy relationship with your voice and sharing your truth. You may benefit from some throat chakra work right now. But yeah, this is definitely you struggling with sharing your truth, honoring what needs to be said, and speaking authentically. This can also be a situation where maybe you used to, share your truth, but maybe you've been conditioned to hold yourself back. You know, maybe there was a situation like the book said where you were, what do they say? There were repercussions for sharing your truth. Some of you guys may be a singer or maybe a musician of some sort, and you want to share your, express yourself in that way, but maybe there's a reason you're holding yourself back. But yeah, it's this part of you wants you to share your truth, share your story, be honest. Okay. And there may have been a time in your life where it kept you safe to be quiet and not say what you want to say, but that's not the case anymore. And it's starting to hurt you now. So, how can you express yourself? How can you get more comfortable with sharing your truth? And know that there is a difference in being honest and just being hurtful versus being honest and trying to be helpful. You know, I'm sure we've all been around someone like that who they just say what's ever on their mind. And maybe we've been a person like that. I know I have in the past. And it's just about saying whatever it is you want to say and not thinking about how it's impacting people. That could be something that we need to work on as well. So, how can you be honest? How can you be truthful? Not by hurting others, but by just honoring yourself. All right, fierce. Let's get into it. Okay. So, the contemplations that go with this card. Number one, what stories and feedback have you been told about your voice? Okay, so we have the Wheel of Fortune. This is really interesting. So, I feel like I'm talking to someone who is very powerful. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune is all about fate and destiny and, allowing yourself to go towards a new chapter, closing one door so you can go towards a new one. All right, so I feel like your voice, your words make waves. Okay. And of course, if you are someone who effortlessly is a powerhouse and people stop to listen when you speak, other people who don't have that quality in themselves, or maybe they do, but they're not honoring it, will naturally be intimidated by you. That's normal. Okay. You have a voice and words and honesty and truth that is really impactful and powerful. You may be someone that a lot of people go to for guidance and advice. And my question for you is, if that's the case and you know that your voice carries a frequency like this, then why don't you honor it? You know? Sometimes we don't want to give people the wrong advice. Sometimes we don't want to be held responsible for how something impacts somebody when we give them the guidance to do that. And I totally get that, especially as a tarot reader and a spiritual healer. I will tell people to do things that may not end how we expected, but it was necessary for them to go through certain things. I feel like you are somebody who pushes people out of their comfort zone. And again, that's not easy for everyone. So don't think of it as something that you're doing wrong just because your words and your voice carry weight. That is a beautiful, beautiful gift to have. Okay. There are tons of people out there who speak up and cause a ruckus because of their truth. And sometimes that's what's necessary. It's easy to, put your head in the sand and just go along, but you're not meant to do that. You're not here to just go along with everything. So don't be surprised that this is the influence that your voice has. It's beautiful, it's powerful, and you are allowed to take up space and you're allowed to be honest about the things that you see and feel. Okay? Let's see. I mean, you're powerful. I feel like other people are owning and honoring your power more than you are, and that can cause discomfort. All right, let's see. Where do I hold back from speaking my voice or truth? Where do you hold back? Okay, the Three of Wands. Yes. So, what's interesting is a lot of people know that your voice matters, your opinions matter. Okay, you are someone who definitely influences people to take risks, to go towards new beginnings. And what's interesting is you're holding back in that very area. The Three of Wands is all about going towards new beginnings, leaving comfort zones, embarking on new journeys and looking towards the horizon. So why do you hold yourself back in that way? You know, has there been a point in time where maybe you gave someone guidance and it didn't end up how you expected? Or maybe there's been a point in time where you know, went towards a new beginning and it didn't pan out how you thought. I would definitely, I would spend time with the part of you that is scared to make a mistake or that is scared to guide someone the wrong way. Know that there are no mistakes. There is no right or wrong. Everything that happens is meant to happen. So there's no reason to hold yourself back because you don't want yourself or someone else to go through discomfort. Sometimes that's exactly what someone needs on their journey. Sometimes that's what you need on your journey. And if something doesn't unfold how you thought it was going to, how can you embrace that with more grace, with more ease? You know, just because you find an obstacle or you have to turn around doesn't mean you did something wrong. How can you look at those things with the perspective of what am I being taught? How am I learning from this? How am I growing from this? Give yourself that opportunity to look deeper at those things instead of assuming that, oh, well, I must have done something wrong and I shouldn't have said anything because look at it now. You know, allow yourself to widen your perspective on that. Okay, and what is seeking expression through you right now? What wants to be expressed? Justice, Libra energy. Okay. So this is honestly, justice is all about truth, authenticity. This is about clarity, about balance, and it's also about karma coming around. So I feel like you are definitely someone who calls people out and someone that, like, you're not just going to act like something didn't happen, you know, even if it's uncomfortable to, you know, say what's going on and how you're feeling. I feel like you are someone who maybe there have been a lot of repercussions for you speaking your truth, for you being honest. And maybe that's why you're nervous about owning that. It's time to speak your truth. It's time to be real. And at the end of the day, you're not coming through trying to reprimand anybody or make anyone feel bad, but you're just coming through with truth and honesty and fairness. And if other people can't handle that, that's not on you. Continue to stay in your truth, stay in your light. And whoever is uncomfortable with that, that's for them to sort through. Okay? So let's get into this a little bit more, shall we? All right, let's go back to the Wheel of Fortune. What stories and feedback have you been told about your voice? Tell me more about the Wheel of Fortune. I just feel like you're a very powerful person. And I feel like a lot of people trust you and want to go to you for guidance and advice. See, yeah, you're definitely someone that a lot of people see as a wise person and someone that's very intuitive and someone they can trust. You might keep to yourself a lot, though. So that's what I feel. I feel like this is someone who used to be very vocal, very loud, and very honest. And then I feel like for some reason, maybe that's gotten you into some trouble. Maybe other people don't appreciate that part of you, but the universe does. And that's why you're being asked to continue with this and to hold on to this quality of yourself because the universe needs you to do this work. Okay, we have the Three of Cups, Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups, all cups, okay? And that's all about your emotions, your intuition, your heart space. So you are definitely someone that when you speak, people really take it to their core and people really listen. And I think you have the ability to really tap into aspects of yourself and other people that they're not even comfortable sitting with. You know, so that's makes sense why you might not be as well received as you should be when it comes to you speaking your truth. Okay? Because with the Eight of Cups here, you are honest with people when you say, hey, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make me feel good. I know you, and I don't know why you're settling with this and why you're compromising so much. I feel like you are someone who holds a mirror to people and you say, the version of you that I know would never put up with this, would never agree with this, would never da 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 da. You know? So just because other people don't want to hear it, they came to you for a reason. It's like whenever people come to me for a reading and then they're surprised when I tell them the truth and what the cards say. If you wanted me to lie to you, then, you're in the wrong, you're talking to the wrong person. And I feel like that's the same for you. That's not something bad. Because at the end of the day, 3 of Cups, 9 of Cups, like you really do speak from your heart. And the people that come to you for guidance, whether it's a version of yourself or other people you treat that with the utmost respect and honor. You show so much love, so much care, so much gentleness. You're not going to mince your words, but you're not going to lead someone astray either. And I do feel like when people come to you for guidance, they end up going towards things that really make them happy. Same for yourself. So let your track record speak for itself. Even if that means there's some hiccups and obstacles in the way, you still end up where you're meant to be. Trust that. It doesn't mean nothing, Okay. Where do you hold back from speaking your voice or truth? We have the 3 of Wands here. So let's learn more about that. Tell me more about the 3 of Wands. See, there's the Tower here. You got to understand that whenever you're holding yourself back, it doesn't make it stop, right? You can't fight what's inevitable, right? So this kind of makes me think of the saying, it's like, when you're on your path, you're on it, whether you choose to go backwards, move forward, or stand still. Okay? So allow yourself to honor your truth. Allow yourself to make the moves that you're guided to make. And don't try to hold yourself back or dilute yourself to make other people comfortable or yourself comfortable, because you're prolonging the inevitable. And when you do that, it's going to be a lot harder to, face the music, So we have the Hierophant and the Fool. Okay, I like it. I like it. So there's definitely a need for a new beginning, a new chapter here for you. There's something that you're wanting to kind of take a leap on, or something you're wanting to walk away from, and it's time for you to be honest about that. Because like we just said, if you're not honest about it, the universe is going to get honest about it, and the universe will handle it for you. You have the power, you have the voice to take something to be honest about something. So use that voice, okay? With the Hierophant, so some of you guys, this could be an issue of like maybe there's a difference in morals or values, or just people think the approach should be different than what you think. You have to honor what's right for you at the end of the day, okay? We are all the universe having a human experience, and the universe chooses to work through us through different ways. This may not be in alignment with the person next to you, but that's because they're not you. And you can't allow that to be the reason why you downplay something or not truly honor something. You know what I mean? You know what's right for you. You know your truth. You know your connection to spirit. So you have to honor that. No one else is going to. But the universe will put you in situations where you can't refuse to honor it for another second. So go towards this new beginning. Trust yourself, okay? And what is seeking expression through you right now is the Justice card, okay? So let's see about that. All right, yeah, see, we have the 10 of Wands here. There's definitely something that's weighing you down. There's something that you feel is either not fair, or something that you believe in so much that you're not going to falter on it. So again, like this feeling, this energy is not going to go away. So go towards it. Be honest about it. because again, you're going to prolong the inevitable, because eventually you're not, like, eventually it's going to all explode. So you might as well just be honest and truthful right now. Okay, with Justice, we do have the Two of Wands, the Five of Cups, and the Empress. Okay, so there's definitely some sort of crossroads, some sort of decision that you're needing to be honest about. I think you already know what's right for you, but it's just a matter of bringing that to the table and sharing it with others. With the Five of Cups, there could be people that are negatively impacted by this truth. Now, again, I understand, like we were saying earlier, you're not just trying to be honest and truthful just to hurt people, but sometimes your truth and honesty can be hurtful. You know, like when you have to break up with someone, that's painful and hurtful, but you can't live a lie, you know? At the end of the day, there's two sides to every coin, right? There's the pain and the lesson. So allow yourself to hold on to the lesson. And even though it may cause you pain or cause someone else pain, it's all happening for a greater purpose. And there's nothing anyone can do to get in the way of that. You can't stop the train, it's already going. But with the Empress here, I like that. It's time for you to fully take up space. It's time for you to fully express yourself and share your truth. Okay, the Empress is someone who is the divine feminine, and it's time for you to have that abundant life and to go towards your fulfillment. And you can't do that by not being truthful and honest. I feel like this is showing up here to show you, like, look at what you've done for others. Look at, it's painful at first, but there's so much love and it leads to satisfaction, fulfillment. That's what's going to happen for you. First, you have to acknowledge that there is something that you want to go towards, and then share that with others. You're not going to be punished for being honest. And anyone who tries to do that to you was not meant to be in your life and not meant to go on this journey with you. Okay? All right. So some self-care guidance for you guys for this. We have number 39, dance. So I like this because dance is another way to express your truth and express yourself, right? Like I was saying earlier, you could be a singer or a musician of some sort, but your body can also be your instrument in how you share your truth. Maybe you're not a professional dancer. I'm not either, but you can, get a speaker going and dance in your house. You can go to the park and get a nice flow going. Maybe go out to the club, get a dance going, whatever. But allow your truth and your energy to flow through you. And if you're not ready to do it with your voice, do it with your body. And then we have number 7, call mom. So I know not everyone has a relationship with their mom. Not everyone has their mom with us in the physical plane. But whoever is like a mom to you, if you don't have that actual motherly figure, then whoever that person is to you, reach out to them, talk to them. And if it's not like a mom figure, maybe there's a sister, a friend, some sort of feminine energy, because that's what you're being encouraged to tap into here. Allow yourself to vent to that person, to talk to that person. Ask them for guidance and advice. Ask them how you can honor your truth and express yourself. Okay? Someone that you trust, someone that is living life how you would like to live it, and let that be the situation. Okay? Start with letting your body speak and speaking to people that you trust and you feel safe with, because that will help this whole process be easier for you. All right? All right, group number 1, that is your shadow reading. Thank you so much for watching. And if you guys would like a personal reading or a healing ceremony, I've got all my information down in the description box below if you guys want to check out my website, my services, or my social media. All right? Love you guys. Thank you so much. All right, group number 2, time for your shadow reading. So if you chose amethyst, group number 2, or the purple crystal, this is going to be the shadow reading for you. All right, so your shadow would like to work on connection. I like that. Very beautiful. All right, so let's read out of the book exactly what's going on here. And if you guys like the artwork, the author of this book did the artwork. So this is real art you can purchase if you would like. And this is the deck we're using today, if you want to know more about that. All right, so we have connection. The art is connected. And it says, I am I open to a deeper sense of connection with myself. I embrace deeper intimacy with trusted connections. Gorgeous. And it says togetherness, amplifying radiance and glow, heart opening with a warm embrace, receiving and giving, mixing, swirling, illuminating, healing, softness, intimacy, support, merging, communication, touch, intimacy, creation. Meaningful connection requires vulnerability, truth, authentic expression, communication, courage, and a willingness to be self-aware. If we want to cultivate a healthier balance within our connections, the first place we look is within ourselves. If we are willing to see our own inner barriers, we can begin to navigate around the complex intricacies of connection. When we feel something complex come up in a relationship, a difficult feeling, not feeling met or reciprocated, feeling like we are being inauthentic, what is our go-to response? That's a good question. Sit with that. We all have patterns of how we respond in communication and connection. If we wait for others to make the move, speak the unspoken, or fix it, then we may wait eternally because they might also be waiting, or they may not be feeling what we are. We must be willing to be the one who speaks what needs to be spoken and what we feel. Let's remember to honor others the way we want to be honored. We are each an essential piece of the whole, worthy of heartfelt connections. Notice any barriers, expectations, assumptions, judgments, and attachments that may keep you from deeper connections. Approach connections with curiosity, learn more. If you want more intimacy or communication, speak it. If you are feeling insecure, challenge yourself to share it. I love it. So group number 2, it's definitely time for you to be more vulnerable right now, whether that means expressing yourself or being open to new connections, or maybe that just means exploring your inner world and noticing what insecurities or resistance you might have to connections and deepening those connections, right? All of our birthrights are having our community, our village, our partnerships. That is a birthright. That's not something you have to become worthy of or work for or prove that you are capable of having that. It's just like having water or air. So your shadow is asking you to take a deeper look at why or how you may be rejecting certain connections. Maybe you are not honoring your boundaries or expectations, maybe settling. Maybe there's a part of you that is scared to trust others and lean on others and open yourself up to connections. So let's get into it. Let's see what's going on. So this will have contemplation. So I pulled a card for each one. So let's see. Where do I feel challenged in connection with others? So where do you feel challenged in connection with others? Let's see. The King of Cups. Okay. This is really interesting because the King of Cups is, one of my favorite kings, and he's very tapped into his emotional self and, his inner world. He doesn't drown in his emotions, but he knows how to sit with them. So maybe for you, you don't know how to sit with your emotions, how to share them. Maybe you're someone who, if there's any sign of discomfort or tension, maybe you kind of fold under that pressure and you get scared and you freeze up, or you kind of go silent and walk away from the situation. Maybe you feel like maybe you feel, like you know how to sit with your emotions, but maybe you've been in a lot of connections where you feel your partner or your friend or whoever doesn't know how to express themselves and they drown in their own emotions. Either way, it's either an issue with exploring your own inner world, or it's an issue with choosing the wrong people and feeling like you always have to fix someone, or someone's never on your frequency. Interesting. Okay. What intimacy are you craving the most in your relationships? All right, the World card. Okay. So I feel like it's just a lack of stability in your connections, whether that's from your end, from the other person's end, both. It just feels like you want something that feels solid, that feels complete, that feels whole. You want something that feels like you really accomplished something and you feel very secure in the connection. It just feels like there's always something lacking or some sort of question mark, a lack of confidence in your connections. Very interesting. All right. And then we have how can you deepen your connections in your platonic relationships? This is interesting. We have the Four of Pentacles. So this does talk about like holding onto something tightly, maybe even being greedy, or, I feel like what this is saying is put in the effort, like really build your connections. It's not just about your intimate romantic relationships or your family. This is a situation where the dedication and determination that you have in other aspects of your life, your platonic relationships need that as well. You might be someone who, if there's a disagreement in your friendships, you just let the friendship go. This could be a situation where you don't put a lot of effort or make time and plans with your platonic relationships. There just needs to be more commitment and more intention with your platonic relationships. Okay. So let's dig a little deeper on this, shall we? So the King of Cups, where you feel challenged in your connection with others. Tell me more about the King of Cups and the challenges and the connections with others. Okay, we have Judgment, the Five of Cups, and the Ace of Swords. Some of you guys could be a Scorpio or dealing with a Scorpio. So where you feel challenged, okay, with Judgment and the Ace of Swords, I feel like there's a lot of truth that you want to share. You want to be honest, you want to communicate. But I feel like you feel that if you share your truth, people will get hurt. The thing about the truth is, yeah, sometimes it's uncomfortable, sometimes it's very difficult, but that doesn't mean you can't share the truth, right? There are ways that you can approach difficult conversations with grace, with understanding, with softness, so that way it doesn't have to be an argument or you don't have to hurt someone. Sometimes certain truths, it's going to be painful for the other person to hear. No one wants to hear that you're not in alignment or that something they're doing is hurting someone they love. Like, no one wants to hear any of those things, right? The ego doesn't want to hear that. But the soul, what we're all here to do is to grow and evolve. So sometimes your truth can help somebody else do that. But there's a way you can dress it up to where you don't have to worry so much about, like, oh, is this going to hurt this person's feelings, And also holding space for their truth as well. You guys may not be seeing the same thing. You guys may not have the same perspective, and that's okay. There's a way to create an open dialogue, a safe space, so that way these difficult conversations can be had. Okay? But I definitely feel like you're someone who may feel like you can't share your truth or express your emotions in your connections. And maybe there was a situation in the past where you tried to share your truth, but maybe you were reprimanded for that, or maybe you were made to feel like you were blowing things out of proportion. Know that other people can be very determined to misunderstand you. Allow yourself to learn from that. Like, how did it make you feel? What are the red flags or the signs that someone's not going to honor your truth? And recognize that that happened so you can learn that that's not the kind of person you want to be aligned with. It's just like trying a food or a drink or something for the first time that you don't like. Until you try it, you don't know that you don't like it, Or maybe you have a feeling, but then you confirm it by trying it. People misunderstanding you and not holding space for your emotions confirmed for you that's not the kind of relationship you want. So stop forcing yourself to be in a relationship like that by not speaking your truth because of the fear of how someone else is going to respond. That's a form of self-harm, and you have to love yourself more than that. And anyone that loves you and is truly meant to connect with you will honor your boundaries and your needs and your space to say what it is you need to say. And I know that you're going to honor that for someone else. So speak your truth, you know? It might lead to another uncomfortable situation, recognizing that someone's not meant to be in your life forever or whatever the case is, but that's necessary. You cannot prolong the inevitable by diluting yourself or quieting yourself or holding it in. That's not fair. And it also doesn't give this other person the chance to show up how you need them to show up, because maybe they didn't realize there was a problem. And maybe they're not even going to be offended or be hurt. And maybe they are, but through that hurt and that pain, you can grow. Allow growth to happen. All right. What intimacy are you craving the most in your relationships with the World card? So let's learn more about that. Tell me more about the World card. What intimacy group number 2 is craving in their connections. Ooh. Okay. We have the 5 of Pentacles, the 2 of Pentacles, the Justice card. Could be dealing with a Libra. So especially with the 5 of Cups and the 5 of Pentacles, I see that a common theme in your connections is kind of holding yourself back, your truth back, because you don't want to hurt other people. At the end of the day, of course, no one wants to hurt another person. Like, that's no one just, I mean, some people are into that, but like, you're not, and the people I read for most likely are not, At the end of the day, being a people pleaser and holding yourself back is not a good foundation for any relationship, right? Because then people expect you to be quiet, be silent, to preserve their feelings. And eventually that shadow part of you is going to come out and start protecting you one way or another. It's like you're going to be pushed to kind of freak out or throw a fit or whatever because you weren't honoring yourself in the first place. I think a big fear for this is the 5 of Pentacles. Like, you don't want to be abandoned. You don't want to be left out in the cold. You don't want to be alone. I get that. Who does? No one. But do you want to build relationships that are truthful for you, that are balanced for you, that honor you? Or do you want relationships where you just have to go along to get along? You know what I mean? You got to really ask yourself, what is the foundation that I'm building here with these actions? What are the expectations that I'm creating? And if they're not in alignment with what you actually want to create, you got to check that. Because what you crave most is balance. You're not asking for a lot, by the way, You're asking for equal give and take, for truth, for authenticity. You're asking to be a priority for someone. That's not asking for a lot at all. Especially like, you're someone that is willing to give that to another person. So why can't you receive that? There could be, a lack of trust, a lack of self-worth. There could be fear. Whatever it is that is making you think you have to compromise yourself to have the relationships you want, you got to look into that deeper. Because that's not the case. You don't have to force, you don't have to hide. You just need to show up as your true self. You just need to be honest about what it is you need in connections. That way you find the people that are meant to be there for you, instead of forcing people or yourself to be in a situation that doesn't make sense. It's time to be honest. And see, with the King of Swords here too, like, this is all about being honest. And the more honest you are, the quicker that you're going to be led towards the people that enjoy that honesty, that resonate with you. You know what I mean? All right, last card here. How can you deepen your connections and your platonic relationships? The 4 of Pentacles. So let's see more about that. How can they deepen their connection and platonic relationships? But yeah, I'm definitely getting, putting in the effort, making plans, sticking to it, being very intentional and dedicated to growing these connections. All right, we have the Hierophant, the Page of Swords, the 6 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Swords. Interesting. So with the Six of Pentacles, again, this is all about balanced relationships, equal give and take. So how much you want others to show up for you? Are you taking that initiative? Are you showing up for other people like that as well? Because if not, then you're not going to get that in return. Don't be scared to put yourself out there. Don't be scared to make plans. Don't be scared to invite people over or to, share your hobbies and what makes you happy with your friends. Because that's how you deepen those relationships, you know? Let's see here. So we have the Page of Swords and the Queen of Swords. I mean, all of this is about being honest and truthful. There could be some ideas, new hangout spots, new adventures that you're wanting to go on with your friends. So allow yourself to make those plans and stick to it. Don't let your emotions or your past trauma or your fears talk you out of showing up for your friends and making those plans and committing to them. Because I do see that there's a lot of new ideas and exciting new things that you want to explore, but I also feel like there's a party that's like, well, they don't care. They would make the plans with me. Well, do you care? Because if you care, then you should make the plans. You know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be harsh, but at the end of the day, all relationships take effort, take communication. So if you're not doing that and not showing up, you can't expect others to show up for you. And maybe you need to lead by example. What do you want your friendships to look like? Are you showing up in that way? Because if you're not, there needs to be some adjustments. Then we have the Hierophant here. So this is interesting. Yeah, so the Hierophant does talk about deep level commitment. It also talks about, following tradition, the status quo, and things like that. So for some of you, maybe it's just a matter of, like, I feel like some of you might want to have more, like, deeper situations with your friends. Like, I'm trying to say this in a way that makes sense. It's like instead of just going out, maybe you guys want to go to a spiritual workshop together, maybe like an empowering situation, maybe go do volunteer work with one another. That might be something that would open you up to doing more things with your friends. This also talks about morals and values. So maybe you need to have those difficult discussions with your friends and asking them, like, what are your beliefs on this? What do you think about that? And doing it not in a way like you're not trying to open it up for debate or something, but just so you get to know your friends on that level, you know? I just feel like you want a deeper connection with everyone. And a way to do that is not to worry so much about how people are going to respond and react to you, because that's for them to sort out. As long as you stay respectful and open and create a safe space, you're good. you know I like this. I think you want to deepen your connections and do that by being honest, by asking for what you need, and inviting your friends and loved ones to those activities that can open them all up to the deepening of connections. Get the ball rolling. All right, we're going to close it out with some self-care messages. So these are just some guidance and advice for this part of your shadow self that can help you kind of work through this. All right, we have number 13, take control of change. Absolutely. So the changes that you're wanting are, balanced connections, being honest, and having more, what is it? Significant? No. Having more substance in the time you spend with your platonic friends or whatever. So take control of change. Absolutely. So if that's what you want in your connections, how can you get the ball rolling on that? What's something you can be honest about? What's a need that you can express? What's an activity you can do with your friends? Life happens with you, but you have to co-create. You have to take initiative. You got it. And number 11, treat yourself. Absolutely. I like that. Okay, so beautiful. So, especially with connection, like how you want other people to show up for you is how you need to show up for yourself. All right? So, maybe get yourself flowers. Maybe, is there a boundary that you've been crossing within your own self that you want to fix? Maybe you can go to one of these spiritual workshops by yourself and then invite your friends to go with you. Be the change you want to see. And then watch as it radiates, ripples outward toward your other relationships. You got to start with the relationship with you and then allow it to kind of snowball even more. All right, gorgeous. That was your reading, group number 2. Thank you guys for watching. And if you guys would like more from me, I do have my website and all my social media down below in the description box. You can sign up for a personal reading, a healing ceremony, and I do offer these services virtually if you're not located near me, but check it out. Thank you guys for watching. All right, group number 3, last but not least. So if you chose group number 3 or the green crystal, the green jasper, this is going to be the message for you. So let's see what aspect of your shadow wants to communicate. Ooh, we've got judgment. Beautiful. Okay. So judgment is definitely very intense. We can judge ourselves, judge others very harshly. And a lot of the times that comes from people judging us in the past and us deciding to take those words as truth and carry them with us. And then we project them onto others. So let's see what's going on. Okay. And this is the deck we're using, and this is art you can purchase if you'd like. So if you're into the art or the deck, here you go. So judgment. All right. The art is distracted vision. Beautiful. I recognize that I create stories about what I perceive. I choose to see with new perspective and an unbiased view. Distortion, deception, clarity, perception. Seeing, tainted view. Different ideas, bias, hands reaching, trying to change what is seen, grasping onto truths, seeing underneath what is shown, seeing from a multitude of perspectives. We see through eyes that are attuned specifically to look for certain facets, facts, and pieces we can relate to, based on our own life's experiences. Our brain instantaneously works to process, relate information based on what we know, and create a judgment to let us know how to proceed. We have created views about ourselves and how the world should be, and we see others through those perceptions. Perhaps you have said or heard the words, "I am the least judgmental person." How true can that actually be? What if we shift our goal from not judging to noticing where we do judge, and how it actually serves us to notice our own perceptions, to have fierce discernment, and to navigate our biases? I like that. The more we dive into that which we do judge, the more unbiased our sight can actually become. If we aren't seeing our judgments and biases of ourselves and others, then they are likely much stronger than we know. Consider ways that your perception has been shaped by your life: age, gender, race, class, sexuality, religious beliefs, ability, health, appearance, body, nationality, education, etc. Think about the difficult conversations you've had that allowed you to recognize your judgments and challenge your views. I love that. Absolutely. I mean, we need this reflection more than ever, okay? I feel like judgment is rampant in the world right now, like people judging each other based on their race, based on their political views, based on their money, their education, like all of this, okay? And I will say this. I truly do believe that we are all one. I do believe Earth is a playground for souls and we grow and learn here. And I believe that everyone's role is important. And some people's role are very uncomfortable and very just like off-putting, right? But to judge another person for their differing beliefs is just like what you are like judging another person for. You know what I mean? Like, it's like to say, if one person is spewing hatred and hurtful rhetoric, and then you go and hate on them and pour hateful rhetoric onto them, you guys are both doing the same thing. One may be centered from a different space than the other, but it's still the same thing. So I think this is a beautiful opportunity to not try to change your perspectives, but ask yourself, how can I share my perspective, my beliefs, in a way that is not hurtful or downplaying or shoving someone else out? Because at the end of the day, nobody learns from being judged, from being shamed, from being guilted. That's not how people learn. Some people can be shamed into doing other things, but usually that doesn't stick. And if it does, it causes a swirl of insecurity and just lack and anxiety and fear. So I feel like this is a time to learn from your judgments. Learn about how and why you judge. What does that show you about you and your beliefs? And what are new ways that you can share these beliefs without creating tension and discourse? That's a hard order to take. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay, so this comes with contemplation. So we've got cards to kind of give us a deeper dive into that. So let's see. Okay, so what is it that you judge most harshly about yourself? Okay, the Ace of Wands. So I'm talking to somebody who's a little bit of a firecracker, huh? You're someone who's very passionate, very eager and energetic, and you have a lot of energy and just passion. That is so, so beautiful. Like, this is to be alive, is to be passionate. But maybe there was a time in your life where people felt like you were too much, or that your ideas were too out of the box, or that, maybe you have a strong temper. Maybe you've been judged for that. So now you judge yourself. Maybe you were always told a certain narrative about your passion and your energy that have made you dilute this passion and energy. And sometimes when that happens to us, we project that onto others. We say, oh, that person's too much. They're too loud. They're too conflicting or aggressive or whatever. Don't be scared of your passion. Don't be scared of your fire. That's what we need. It's so beautiful to have that. Hold on to that. Spark it up. Fan the flames. There's no need to judge yourself for that. This is what we need as humans to keep us going, to keep us evolving, is passion. Because without passion, stagnancy is the only way. And we ain't doing that over here. Okay? When do you tell yourself you don't judge, but you actually do judge? Two of Swords. Okay. So this is like an energy of being guarded, not seeing things clearly. Okay. So yeah, I feel like whenever you feel people are not seeing your perspective, or when they're not being open, or even when people might be, maybe you share the same perspective, but they don't tackle the situation how you would, that's when you judge. Whenever other people are not showing up and doing something as you would, that's when you judge. Hey, that's when most of us judge, by the way. So this isn't anything too crazy. You know what I mean? But for this, I always remind myself that not everyone is meant to be like me. Not everyone's meant to be like you. Not everyone is meant to show up and handle a situation how you would. And that's okay. Because who wants a world where everyone's the same? That's boring. We don't want that, I definitely, and this is like what the book was saying, in moments like this, invite yourself to see your perspective, see what's bothering you about this other person's perspective or approach, and see what it's teaching you about yourself. Whether it's how to handle differing energies, or whether it's how to express yourself in a way that's not too judgmental or too aggressive towards this other person. Because I get it, especially like whenever people are struggling with their shadow work, and I'm like, this is what's happening and this is how you embrace it and deal with it. I know it's easier said than done. And I have to give grace and understanding for the people that need to take their time and have their journey be what it is. You know what I mean? Not everyone's going to approach it like you or see it the way you do, and that's because nobody else is you. That's your superpower. And it's not fair to project that onto others. Because what's right for you may not be right for someone else, and that's okay. And how can you expand your awareness to see new perspectives? The Emperor. Okay, fears. So I feel that, holding yourself back, judging yourself, judging others, I feel like all of that is rooted in fear, like fear that you'll be judged or fear that someone's making the wrong decision or prolonging something painful because their unwillingness to face the discomfort. At the end of the day, I feel like you want what's best for everyone. You want everyone to be comfortable, happy, fulfilled. So you need to move like the emperor. Move like you have an army behind you. Like there's nothing that could keep you down, keep you held back. You have to move with a lot more courageousness, more bravery. Because a lot of the times we will ridicule people or be judgmental towards people because of a lack of confidence, Because at the end of the day, if you're confident in your own self, in your own path, and you're confident that other people will get their stuff figured out, then you don't need to give your 2 cents, If someone asks you for guidance, there's a way to do that that is kind and gentle. And you don't have to, rip the band-aid off in every situation. I think it's about recognizing that you are so powerful, you are very capable, you are unstoppable. And so having that truth will make you realize that not everyone has to agree with you. Not everyone has to do it the way you would do it. That doesn't mean that they're going to fall behind, and it doesn't mean that you're enabling them. It's just about allowing people to get it figured out on their own, allowing yourself to figure your own stuff out, and recognizing that it's through power and strength and faith that you get to that other side. It's not through judgment and nitpicking everything. Interesting. I like it. Okay, so let's take a little bit of a deeper dive into these messages. So, what you judge yourself most harshly about is the Ace of Wands. So let's see more about that. Tell me more about the Ace of Wands and what group number 3 judges themselves most harshly about. Please and thank you. All right, we have the 3 of Wands, the Hanged Man, the 4 of Swords. Yeah. So you might be the kind of person, like whenever you have a new idea or something that you want to go towards, there may be a part of you that second guesses it, obviously, because the Ace of Wands is what you judge yourself most harshly about. But it's okay to honor whatever process you need to honor to feel comfortable moving towards something new. Okay? Because with the 4 of Swords and the Hanged Man, there's definitely a moment of pause, reflection, surrendering before you take action. But eventually you do take action with the 3 of Wands, So it's okay if you need a moment before fully going towards something. It's like when you're on that path, you're either standing still, moving forward, or moving backwards. But it's okay to stand still sometimes. It's okay to go backwards. It's okay to move forward. Allow your processing to be whatever it needs to be. There's no right or wrong way to go about your passion, to go towards your truth. Okay? I definitely feel like you have really quieted yourself a lot, and I think that's because you don't want to be judged about how you approach things and your beliefs and things like that, which I get. But allow yourself to really take up space and be honest and truthful about what it is that you want to go towards and what you believe. Because I do think that you judge other people for not doing that because you don't do that all the time. And you know what it does to you. It may not do that to other people, but you don't have to project that. You know what I mean? It's okay to take your time before moving forward. That's normal. And especially, we all have an ego and a brain, and those aspects of us need validation. They need to know we're going to be safe before fully being comfortable moving towards something. So that's okay to honor that process. I think that's very healthy and very normal. And I think you should give yourself more credit for that rather than judging yourself for that. And also understand that time isn't real. You may want to rush towards something and not take the time to sit with the shadow and sit with the questions. But that's in an attempt to like be in control of how something's unfolding. And at the end of the day, this is unfolding in divine timing. So you got to let that process be what it needs to be. Yeah, it's like you go through a situation where there's a new idea, but then there's a lot of options and ways to go about it. And then once you feel confident, you go towards it. That's okay. It's okay to have that be your process. That's beautiful. All right, fierce. Okay, so when you tell yourself you don't judge, but you actually do judge, we have the Two of Swords. So let's learn more about that. Tell me more about the Two of Swords. Okay, we have the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Cups, and the Moon card. So you guys could be seeing eights a lot. Okay, so what we have here, yeah, whenever it comes to people making a decision or having to have a stand on something, whenever they go back and forth, you definitely judge them because the Eight of Wands is about forward movement, taking action, and the Eight of Cups talks about having to walk away from something that you don't want to walk away from, but you have to because there's no fulfillment there. When people question that, go back and forth on that, you're like, that doesn't make any sense. But essentially, what's happening there with the Moon card is people are processing their doubt. Oh, excuse me. People are processing their doubts and their fears and their inner wounds when it comes to making a decision like this. That's what's happening in those back and forth situations. You have them yourself. So I do think a big part of this is owning and honoring that aspect of you so that way you're not judging when it comes up in other people. You know, I think it's very, very normal to question and go back and forth and need to explore your inner world before fully committing to something. I think that's okay. There are some situations where you just have to do it scared, but if someone needs time to reflect and look within, you know, like, what's it to you? You know, who cares? Right? The only reason you would care is if you do that to yourself and you don't honor it. So instead of projecting, take a step back and ask yourself, okay, if I'm upset with their process, why? What do I see in myself in that situation? How can I honor my process even more so that way I can let this person have their process and not have my opinions in it? You know what I mean? And if someone comes to you for guidance, that's one thing, but and it's also like, how do you give that guidance? You know, like if I'm out here, you know, being mean to everybody, and you know, there are some situations where the universe is like, now listen, stop it, you know, but how you deliver that energy in that message is of the most importance, because if you just judge people and shame them, most likely they'll take that shame, but they're not really hearing your message. So approach the processes differently and honor what you need so that way you can honor what other people need and not judge them for it and not judge yourself for that. All right, let's see. Okay, last one here. How can you expand your awareness to see new perspectives with the Emperor? So let's see. I just feel like having the courage and bravery to see new perspectives and recognizing that you're safe to have new perspectives and to see things in a new way, you know? Okay, we have, the Ten of Cups, the Lovers, the World card. I love it. Yeah, this is letting you know that you are safe to wear your heart on your sleeve. You are safe to express your truth with kindness and gentleness. Sometimes we think we have to be like aggressive and defensive and, controlling and forcing in order for someone to see our perspective. And that's not the case. Like we said earlier, your way is not the best way for everyone else. It may be the best way for you, but it's not what works for others. Just like other people and how they operate doesn't always work for you, you know? But there is a way to approach these difficult conversations and situations. Do it with love, do it with understanding, do it with curiosity, just like you do your own shadow work in that way. That this aspect of you, it likes to judge. It works for this part of you. But there's your higher self, maybe your inner child even, that it doesn't work for them, And it's not through judgment, it's not through guilt, it's not through pushing away that the shadow is integrated. It's through love, acceptance, and curiosity. That's what you need to have for yourself and for others in order for you to move forward with more trust and more love. Okay? There's enough judgment in the world. We don't need to have it for the people we love. We don't even need to have it for the people we dislike. Just allow people to be who they want to be. Allow yourself to be who you want to be with complete and utter love. And through that love, you create a safe space. Through that love, people are able to let their guard down and really get to the root of certain issues, If you give yourself love, you'll be able to see, why do I second guess? Why do I need to take a minute before moving forward? And maybe the answer to that isn't like something horrible. Maybe it's just that's what you need and that's okay, Honor the way you need to move. So that way you're not judging it and judging others. Okay? All right, we're going to close it out with some self-care oracle messages just to see what self-care approaches and activities you can do to help you with this situation. Number 3, collaboration. Absolutely. Exactly. Allowing yourself to work with others, to put yourself in other people's shoes, to hear other people's perspectives, that is the key. Okay? It makes me think of, I was watching this TV show where this girl was like petrified of the police because her brother was murdered by a police officer. And it got to the point where like she just would have panic attacks and cry anytime she was around a cop. So she recognized that she wanted to move past this. And so she reached out to a cop and decided to meet with him. And honestly, as soon as he started walking up, she started crying and freaking out. And then eventually she calmed down and was able to walk with him and talk with him. And he said what he did to kind of, fix the stigma is he put himself out in the community and he learned people's names and he spent time with the people in his community. Nothing like community and spending time together will help you see a difference in somebody. You know what I mean? So how can you work with other people? How can you put yourself in another person's shoes or expose yourself to different walks of life than you normally would? Exposure therapy is what is needed here. And then number 42, love yourself. Absolutely. That's like with the Ace of Wands, The more you love yourself and accept yourself, the more you can do that for others. You can't do for others what you can't do for you. So notice, when is it that you judge yourself? What are the stories and narratives that you tell yourself that are hurtful to yourself? And how can you redirect them? How can you correct them? That's what's needed here. Love yourself so you don't judge yourself. Love others so you don't judge others. All right? All right. That is your reading, group number 3. Thank you so much for watching. And if this resonated, let me know with a like, a comment. Definitely subscribe if you want more content like this, and share this video with a friend if you feel so inclined. And if you guys would like more from me, I have all my social media and my website in the description box below. You guys can book a personal reading or a healing ceremony, and I do offer those virtually if you would like. So check it out. But I'm proud of you for showing up for your shadow today. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.